your staff, you comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord.
For me, I'm not alone. Got me low. He makes me past in water. Trust in God gives you peace. Trust in God gives you peace. Only He can give. This world is so lost and so confused. If you just reach out, I promise He is right there. Trust in God gives you peace. Peace that only He can. Know He's in control. If you just reach out, I promise He is right there. Know He'll give you peace. Yes, He'll give you
Show me the right path, O Lord. Point out the road for me to follow. Lead me by your truth and teach me, for you are the God who saves me. All day long, I put my hope in you. I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome.
Trust in God gives you peace. Trust in God gives you peace. Only He can give. This world is so lost and so confused. If you just reach out, I promise He is right there. Trust in God gives you peace. A peace that only He can. Know He's in control. If you just reach out, I promise He is right there. Know He'll give you peace. Yes, He'll give you
All right, everybody. How you guys doing out there? Avery here. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you for joining me. That was some jazz, some nice soulful music provided by Mr. and Miss Grant. You can find them on YouTube. I appreciate them for allowing me to play that. What we're going to do today, just kind of talk about some of the questions that you guys have, of course, in regards to the video content and the templates that you are reviewing on Patreon, whether you're in the freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior courses. We'll get into that. Now, today's class is going to be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I will go over some information for you guys to take advantage of. Today is a good one, I think. I think you'll enjoy it. We're going to talk a little bit about overpayments, treasury checks, and discharge. I got some examples here for myself, and I like to use my mother's account. Last Saturday, we talked about IRS discharge. So that was pretty cool. But today, we're going to talk about a vehicle discharge that I recently received an overpayment for from the bank in regards to a treasury check. But before I get into that, I want to have my liaison, Isaiah, go ahead and just give out a quick little announcement if you can. Isaiah, are you there today? Let's see here. He's probably away from the mic real quick. What we're going to do today in regards to questions, maximum of 2 questions per person. That way we can execute our time more efficiently here. And what we're going to do is if I go into a subject, when we do like popcorn reading back and forth, we'll take some questions pertaining to that subject before we go into any of your plethora of questions. So let me start off. And I'm going to show and share my screen. I'm going to show what I have received recently as of this month. Okay. Let me go into it here. The very top. This is as of March 24th, 2022. Let me give you a preface as to what happened. I believe, a couple of years ago, ex-wife and I, we had a car together. I was the original owner. She was the co-signer. Came into a bind, couldn't keep the car. We did voluntary repossession. Now, you guys know that if there's a remaining balance on the car, they will still come after you for the amount after they sell it at the auction. And therefore, that's considered a cancellation of debt. What they'll do is give you a 1099-C. So that amount that I had received on a 1099-C, I was still going to be responsible for making that payment for the difference. And I didn't want to. We didn't have the asset anymore. So I said, look, we're going to just go ahead and try to send out some treasury checks. I know that we have the power to do that. I don't know when they'll process it. It's up to them. It's in their best interest, according to the law. You guys seen that in the senior course where I talked about treasury gifts. So the thing is, we're dealing with 2 sides of the ledger, the public side and the private side. And they have to be balanced in order for it to be completely closed out. If we get a car that's $10,000, we know that what they do is take that $10,000 and what comes back 10 times the amount. And that's on the private side. That side will always be open for the banks to utilize. And you have to close it as well if you truly want to have this off the credit report. Now, I took a different approach with this one because of the repossession. I know that in the event of a voluntary or involuntary repossession, the towing company or towing service that comes out to pick up the car, they have to communicate with the local authorities before they take the car. That means there has to be a viable police report. So I kind of had a hunch that this guy did not do that. They're supposed to report within the first hour of taking the car. So what I did was contact the police department to see if there was any report done by his company on that day in that area. And to my surprise, no, he didn't do it. And I got a report from the police that nothing came in. I sent that to the bank and the bank immediately took the repossession off of the credit report. It was as if we never had the car. However, I still had a 1099-C that I had to deal with so that it would not be reported as income whenever she and I had filed our 1040 tax returns. So what I did, knowing that there was about a $7,000 balance after they sold the car, I sent in treasury checks for about 3 times that amount. So that was around $20,000 in treasury checks. Now it has to be made payable to the US Treasury, but you have to send it to the IRS. They are the ones who are collecting on the public side for the Treasury. Now look at this letter here as of March 24th of this year. They're writing the letter out to me and my ex-wife. So it says, during a review of your account, we identified that the notice of intent may have been separately issued to each of the customers listed on the original contract. And as a result, we enclosed a check for $4,035.38. We apologize for any inconvenience this caused. This check includes $3,700 for any payments made toward the outstanding balance after the repossession and sale of the vehicle. We added the amount for the time and the funds that were unavailable. We increased the amount of $5 if the total amount was less. And we are also waiving the outstanding balance on the account following repossession and the sale of the vehicle in the event an outstanding balance exists. No outstanding balance exists because we've covered that on the private side with the treasury checks. So here's page 2. Here's the cashier's check that they just sent us in the amount of $4,000. This is pertaining to that account number ending in 6095. Now I want to take you back to December 2019. Sent the letter to the executive office of Wells Fargo. Okay. Talked about giving me a copy of the police report. They didn't have it. They're actually saying here 2 months prior that they removed it from the police report. I'm sorry, my credit report, which is fine. But I wanted it to get off. I didn't want to have any, or her, have any obligations with her taxes on the 1040 form. This is the notice of intent that they're talking about. The repossession took place back in 2014. The actual account started in 2012. Okay. Now, here's the check that I submitted. You guys have this template that's inside the senior course, and you can do this yourself. I'm going to show you how to do these effectively. This is in accordance to accord and satisfaction. I use all 3 methods. If it's a third-party debt collector, I'm sending a third-party debt collector letter. If it's an original creditor, I'm still sending a third-party debt collector with the treasury checks every week and the accord and satisfaction with those. And that's why I say the accord and satisfaction money orders can be any amount that you want. It can be $1, it could be $7, whatever you want. But you must attach it to your treasury check because we're talking about the public and the private side that has to be closed out. I'll show you what I mean from the actual IRS themselves. Now, this check was made payable to the United States Treasury Department for 3 times the amount of what I was owed. Originally 7,000. 7 times 3 is 21. When you look here in the memo section, it says only used for the reduction of public debt account number. And here's the account number to the car. The contract number is your social security number. Okay, you'll add that here. You'll add that here. This number is exactly the check number, which you'll find up here. Now, we don't know when they're going to cash it. We don't know when they're going to do it. It's in their best interest. That's why we send it every week. In fact, the 1863 National Bank Act tells us the best times to send these checks, which is the first month of each quarter. Okay. However, I still don't play any games with that. I send these things every week. It's free. I can make these at home and send them out in the mail, and I'm following the law. Nothing's coming back to it. But these were the checks that initiated this overpayment. You see, if I owe 7,000 and I send it in for 21, that's an overpayment that has to come to me. This is how you get access to the securities. You have to do it through the IRS as an overpayment and utilize your trust to do it. Here's the second payment. As you see, the first one was September 2nd, second one, September 15th. I went a little bit higher now because of interest. Every time that it's not gone, I know interest applies. 21,547. Third check, October 2nd, 23,378 cents. I'm just picking numbers here. As long as I'm well above that 7,000. And the fourth one, $25,007.07. I was thinking 007 James Bond on this one. And that was the last one I did. Okay. Now, that's the car. It's no longer on the credit report. We're good with that. Let's do a recap here. In the course, we're talking about the law that governs this, that lets you do it. And that's Title 31, the Banking Act, accepting gifts. It says, A, to provide the people of the United States with an opportunity to make gifts to the United States government to be used to reduce the public debt. If you go down, it's going to tell you if it's in their best interest, they will do it right here. The secretary and the administrator. The administrator is the head honcho for GSA, General Service Administration. They manage all of the bonds in the court systems. Okay. So if you have a court charge, you want to send a GSA bond to get rid of it. And moving on. It says each may reject a gift under this section when the rejection is in their interest of the government. So we don't know when they will accept it. It could just pile up. Now here's my best guess. I talked about public and private. When you look at how money is created, and we know this by the book, Modern Money Mechanics. Usually I would have you guys read this out loud, but I'm going to briefly go over it. They talk about multiple expansion processes, how it works. Let's look at this right here, this paragraph. If business is active, the banks with excess reserves probably will have opportunities to loan the 9,000. Of course, they do not really pay out loans from the money they receive as deposits. If they did this, no additional money would be created. Did you hear that? What they do when they make loans is accept promissory notes in exchange for credits to the borrower's transaction accounts. Loans are assets and deposits are liabilities. Both rise by the 9,000. Reserves are unchanged by the loan transactions, but the deposit credits constitute new additions to the total deposits of the banking system. This was issued by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago back in Chicago. I believe this was 1980s when they published the book. They're telling you how money works here in this country when it comes to the Federal Reserve. Okay. Now, why did the IRS issue me money? Title 26, the IRS code, authority to make credits and refunds. Let me go back to what I just read. So the order of operation here, they talked about promissory notes, right? If my car was 20,000 on the public, did the bank give me the loan? No, they didn't. We just read that in this book. So where did it come from? The promissory note that I signed at the dealer goes directly to the Federal Reserve, and they write a blank check based on nothing. When I say a blank check, that means there's no money in the bank to write off of. But they write a check for 10 times the amount of 20,000, 200 grand, or 2 million. Send that over to the Treasury, they print it. Sometimes they print it, sometimes they create zeros and ones in the computer system. That's credits, and that credits is transferred to the bank, which goes to the dealer. A portion of it goes to the dealer, right? We have to write off that overinflated portion on the private side. And the only way to do that is to send in overpayments. Whatever your amount is that you're trying to discharge, you must send it in for times 7 or times 10, the amount of that. That's why we did that. So now, Title 26, overpayment law. In the case of an overpayment, the secretary within the applicable period of limitations may credit the amount of such overpayment, including any interest allowed thereon, against any liability in respect of an internal revenue tax on the part of the person who made the overpayment, and shall, subject to subsection C, D, E, and F, refund any balance to such person. And we are indeed talking about an internal revenue tax, because they will indeed send you a 1099-C, a cancellation of debt. If you don't handle that 1099-C, that means that you will receive an income and have to report it on your taxes. And we don't want to have some sort of additional income from that way of operation. So we must discharge it. Okay. Now you know the law, where it comes from. Look at an example from the IRS. This was my mother's. We did the quick claim deed. As you can see, there's no transfer tax on it. Down at the county, off of the county tax roll. Let's go down to a letter from the IRS. It's coming from Mrs. Harrington. This is her employee ID number. As of July 2021, we're talking about the 1096 tax form. When we do a discharge, we're looking at 1096 and we're looking at 1099A. This is not to be confused with 1099 OID. That is only for banks. And we're not a bank. We are not a national association under the FDIC, nor are we a credit union under the NCUA. So let's not utilize false information that's floating around on the internet. Now look at this. Dear taxpayer, we are returning your payment because we could not process it. Now I knew this. When I was doing this with my mother, she said, look, it makes sense that we make the check payable out to the lender. I said, no, the law says that we have to send it out to United States Treasury, and they will wire the money to the lender. And you have to remember the lender was already paid through the credits. So they don't deserve anything. They are a third-party debt collector. So she said, let's just send it in anyway. I said, we're going to do both and see what they say. One to the US Treasury and one to the name of the lender. They stamped it, your payment non-negotiable for your protection. We have checked below the reason why we could not process your payment. Now, notice that they didn't check this box here. We cannot accept as a payment. They said all payments to us must be made payable to the United States Treasury, and yours is not. So we have two. There's the mortgage statement here. Always, always consider to give an accord of satisfaction money order. Always do that. We chose $10. You see this is Texas mail service for the IRS. This is where they stamped it and received it. Here we go. The memo here, payment in full, accord and satisfaction, record account number, the assessor's parcel number, and we have the language from Title 12, 411. Now, this one here, made to the Treasury, in the amount of 271 mortgage amount. This one down here, they voided it because it was made out to the lender. This is the one they're talking about. So this is the one that they accept. Now, if the mortgage statement, let's go back up here. Total loan amount is 266. And we know that the credits go to the lender 10 times the amount. That means we have 2.6 million that we have to write off on the private. So you're not going to be able to send a treasury check for 2.6 million. They want this done over time. You have to send in these type of checks, treasury gift checks, over to them weekly, monthly, whatever you want to do. But you must know it's 10 times the amount of the face value of your mortgage. And I'm not talking about the outstanding balance. I'm talking about the initial principal promissory note balance when you first got the house. We are continuing to send these in. I think we are on month 5. So we've got about 6 or 7 more to go. And it will happen. Now here's the 1096. We got the 98 number there. This is coming from our foreign trustee out of Colombia. Here's the 1099A. This is an acquisition. Notice here the amount that we placed for the outstanding balance. But the fair market value is only $3. Why is that? If you paid attention in the course, you notice that we are not saying that my mother is the grantee, the grantor, and the trust is the grantee for valuable consideration of more than $100. Anything over 100 is taxed. Anything over 101 is taxed. And it must be less than that in monies and species, which is gold and silver. So we decided to do $3 silver. That was the valuable consideration, which is higher than this because it's inflated. And you cannot inflate gold and silver. So I show this to show what the IRS accepts and what they don't accept. Now it's just a matter of time and continuing to do this process right here. The money order and the treasury check. All right. So now let's get into some questions that you may have pertaining to that we just went over. If you have any, you can go ahead and raise your hand. I will unmute you. If you don't have any questions pertaining to that, then we'll answer questions in regards to the course. My assistant here will read some of your questions in the chat if you have them. Mr. Yoda, you are unmuted.
Top of the morning to you, Avery.
Top of the morning. Thank you.
When you sent in that accord of satisfaction on the house right there with the money order and the treasury check, you sent the accord and satisfaction to the Department of Treasury, or did you send it to the mortgage company?
I sent it to the Department of Treasury. It was stapled with it.
So you bypassed the lender altogether?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Another thing, you reminded me of something. Let me go and share that. When you look at the 1096, they give you in the instructions where you're supposed to send it. So we're in California here. This is the address you send those checks to. If you're in Kansas, Nevada, you send it to Kansas City, Missouri, and Florida, Georgia, that's the Austin location. That's where you send the checks to.
Gotcha. Now on the repo, when you sent in the treasury check, I didn't see a reference that matched back to the repo itself. Did you put the repo letter statement in the in there with the check as well, so they know where it went to? Because I didn't see where you referenced that payment to know where it was supposed to offset at.
Right, right here. Okay, so you see how here they're talking about this reference number. That's my
Okay,
loan
got it.
account number right there. In my checks, memo only used for the reduction of public debt account is the number.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I messed up for it.
Yeah, that's what they're referencing to. Mhm.
All right, that was my two whammies.
All right, thank you for that. Don't forget up here, you have to list your 98 number next to the trust, where it's coming from, and this is the address where it's going to. Now, ultimately, this is the public information for the U.S. Treasury, but we know that according to 1096, where we have to mail this to. Yeah. All right. Ms. Clemens, do we have any questions, or Isaiah, any questions in the chat that you guys can scan through for me? Yes, you do need to order forms 1099A, 1099-6 directly from the IRS in order to do this. Can we get these forms anywhere else? No, we cannot. You have to go directly to the IRS website, and please use your Express Trust information, the name, the address that you've given them, so that you can get it for free. Usually a business account will allow you to get it for free, and you can get up to 1,000. Now you have to get the forms pertaining to the current taxable year. If you're trying to discharge a debt that was way back in 2019, you still need to get 2022 forms to discharge a 2019 debt. Most people were using 2019 forms for 2019 debt. It does not work like that. AJ, let me see. Can you raise your hand? Or you can unmute yourself so I can understand your question. AJ, you there? I see your question in the chat. There is no audio from you. So let me see. You said, to make a check out for 21 million, I am lost. I am short 21 million in my account. Would you explain that part again? I think what you're trying to ask me is the inflated part. If you got a mortgage for $100,000, the process from your promissory note is going to the Federal Reserve, and then they're going to make a check out for 1 million. We'll send that to the Treasury. The Treasury will print it or either issue credits. And those credits will be directed to the Federal Reserve Bank that you're getting the loan from, allegedly. So they receive 1 million in credit, while 100,000 gets wired to whoever you're buying the house from at the escrow closing table. So the other 900,000 that's out there is being loaned out and making more money. It's either being circulated from when people do withdrawals from their bank account, or it's being loaned out. Now, you have to go ahead and discharge that 1 million. Now, you can't just make a check for 1 million to discharge a $100,000 note. So let's say you got 100,000, the first payment, you have to make that payment to the lender, of course, accord of satisfaction. But you're also going to get another accord of satisfaction for, let's say, $10 or $7, whatever, what have you, and attach it to a Treasury check that you have, if you have the template for it. And let's make that Treasury check 100,500. You make the next one 100,000, 150,000. But you build your way up to the 1 million over time. That could take a year, that could take less. But what you really want to have off of that first one, remember the letter I got from the IRS where it gave her name, Miss Harrington, and her employee ID number? You'll start sending your treasury checks to her, addressed to her and the account that she made for you. She's the one who's going to credit it. Okay. Yvonne, there are kits you can purchase to print up your own, and some that have kits have extra forms, but the ink and UPC codes are special and identified to the IRS, so be careful. Here's what I recommend. Go back to the ways that we've seen in John Wick. Get a typewriter. Get a typewriter. You cannot handwrite on these red forms, and you cannot type it up on your computer. It will not work. It must be, you need a typewriter because there's microfilm paper behind it. So that way everybody has copies. Copies for you and copy for the lender, and the red form goes to the Treasury, which is the IRS. Is 1099online.com accurate? I've seen people use this method and get approved within 3 days. If you've seen it, they should have no problem showing you the track record. And then we can utilize it. And then we got to use the laws that go along with that. That's what makes sense to me. All right. Emily, are you able to open up your mic? A couple questions for you.
Oh, yep. We're here.
Okay. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
We're good. Thank you.
So yeah, Brad's packet is almost done. We just have the quick claim deed, and we did one. We just, before we sent it off, wanted to see an example.
An example?
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'll go over the necessities of it. But it's mostly going to be based on your current deed of trust. So we got the initial cover letter here. Got the non-UCC. It mirrors the existing one that we did. But remember, the first one that we did was a public finance transaction. Now we're talking about putting a lien on the house. So it becomes a manufactured home transaction. You want to get a better understanding of this term, just go to the UCC definitions. And they'll tell you that this is not just talking about a mobile home or a manufactured home. It's talking about real estate as well. And it is a non-UCC. Quick claim, this indenture from the grantor to the trust as the grantee. Witness that the grantor of the county of Riverside in the state of California for and in consideration of the sum of 3 United States of America minted 1879, 1891, and 1900, 0.715 troy ounce. You have to register the money, basically. Morgan silver dollar coins and other good and valuable consideration in hand paid at and before the sealing and delivery of these presents. The receipt whereof is hereby acknowledged, has granted, bargained, sold a lien, conveyed, confirmed, quick claim, and by these presents does grant, bargain, sell, a lien, convey, gift, confirm, and quick claim unto the said grantee the following described property. And this is the legal description. Now we had to do this because, as you see with her property, it showed that she was paying escrow taxes to the corporation sole. Remember, I talked about the corporation sole, which is the Secretary of State, the Vicar, the Vatican, but her corporation sole in regards to taxes was the president of the San Bernardino stake of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. All her money was being collected by the county of Riverside going to the Mormon church. You have to change that. How do you change it? Now, here I talk about the land below and the land above. Right after your legal description, I talk about the land below and the land above. That is the creed that they go off of. As below, so what do they call it? As above, so below. When I talk about in property real, talking about everything below the house, 500 feet at least. And then when we talk about real property, that's everything above, including airspace. I never mentioned real estate in this document. Real estate is taxed. Real property is not. Okay. Now these sections here, I got from the Uniform Prudent Investors Act for California. That's one of the provisions in the Declaration of Trust. If you look at page 1 of your Declaration of Trust, it talks about what is governing your document. And we talked about the common law of California, the Prudent Investors Act, the Treaty of Marrakesh, Articles of Confederation. That's where this comes into play. If you look up in the Investors Act for California, it talks about this code here. I don't reference the code. I just talk about the language that it has. It says the said grantor is lawfully seized. This time it's not an S, it's a Z. In your promissory note, they put an S. You have to reverse that. And possessed of the said premises, that grantor has the right to convey the premises, that the premises are unencumbered, no liens, no notes from anybody, and that the grantor shall forever warrant and defend the right and in real property law of the above described property unto the said grantee held in trust by the trustee as the lien creditor and secured party against the claims of all persons whomsoever that is enforceable in equity or at common law. And the said express trust relating to the said real property is contained or declared in this grant to the trustee or in an instrument signed by the trustee and recorded in the same office with the grant to the trustee. These are actual equity law codes in California. They are hard to find in California. So if you're in California, please, you're gonna have to schedule some time with me so that we can briefly look it up, because I need to make sure that you do that correctly if you're in California. It might be easier in Arizona, New Mexico, definitely easy in Georgia and Florida. Now, another part to pay attention to have and to hold the said tract or parcel of land with all and singular the rights, members, and appurtenances thereof, to the same being belonging or in any wise pertaining to the only proper use, benefit, and behoof of the said grantee forever in fee simple. This covers patents. I indent this way because these are the examples from the laws of the merchants of the old ways.
So Avery, is this the same on every state? Because I created a quick claim deed that I got from Rocket Lawyer based on the state of Arizona, but obviously it doesn't have all this stuff. Also, we're just trying to sell the property. So does all this stuff matter? Right? We're just trying to get the thing in my name so I can prove that I own it, so I can get electricity, get my crackhead brother out of there and shit like that, right? So
well, you wouldn't need to do a quick claim deed to the trust if you want to sell it. You got the will recorded, so go ahead and do a grant deed to your name from that will, and then you can sell it. But you wouldn't need this to keep it in the trust forever.
right, yeah, no, we're just trying to sell it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. But that, what I just showed you, is for keeping property for the generations and on generations. So you just need a grant deed, which you can get anywhere online.
Warrant deed in Arizona, right? Same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Fascinating, though. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. I still will do a full in-depth quick claim deed webinar later. Right. Well, looks like I'm going to be out of here early. No hands are raised. Not too many questions from people about the courses. Unless you have them, we'll jump into it right now. Okay. course questions. Anybody have those?
Am I reading now?
Yes.
Avery,
Mhm.
see, it's hard for me to see because I'm at a really weird angle.
Okay.
Glasses. Okay, so see it, this is from Atlantic Flagpole. Okay, so theoretically, we could continue to pay the bank's mortgage or rental properties, the Express Trust, enterprise owns, and then submit these 10 times the payments to the US Treasury and get the overpayments credited back. Am I understanding this correctly?
That's correct. That's correct. Do the quitclaim deed, get the property in the name of the trust, start sending in record and satisfaction payments for your minimum required monthly. To do that is we're building up a case against the court, the bank, if we have to take them to court. And then in addition to that, you make your treasury checks as a form of overpayment and send those in to the IRS, payable to the treasury.
Okay, and do you have a copy of a wraparound mortgage contract to send out?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have all of them.
Patrice is- Okay,
You're gonna have to schedule well, give me some time to put that together with some information you provided me. But we're gonna have to do a consultation where it'll be a Zoom call. So I can go over that with you live. It'll be recorded and you can have that to be, referred back to. If you can, just give her the link to that. But the link to do a scheduled consultation is on the homepage of Patreon.
yes, okay, I'll do that again. Okay, so there's someone, Jesus wants to know if we can change the subject. Questions, has the questions in regard to authenticity, my birth certificate state level.
All right, Jesus. Let's see, go ahead and unmute yourself and clarify your question for me.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. That's better.
Good day, Avery. How you doing, brother?
Good day to you as well. Blessed today.
All right, so I'm on the second page. Like when we spoke about, I put Thailand,
Mhm.
right back, country Thailand, and then I hit continue. It says select the country to which documents will be presented.
Mhm.
On the apostille certification information page, the NJ portal. I'm from New Jersey, so everyone in the chat.
Yeah, so the country you selected was Thailand. And
Correct, on the first page. Yeah, now I'm on the second page, and the question that is asking me is, select the country to which documents will be presented.
Thailand. So that means they were really asking the country on page number 1 where you currently are. So that means USA. And then on the second one, you put Thailand.
Well, no, the first one. So if you go to the njportal.com /DOR/apostille, it says customer information. I put my first name, last name. I got the business email, which you advised me to do. It's valentine@diplomats.com. Then it says country, I put in Thailand. And then for my address, I obtained one from iPostal.
Right, so you're gonna have to change that Thailand country to USA, so it matches with iPostal here in the States. I just couldn't see the second page when we were on the call on my phone. So now that you've read it out to me, what's on the second page, it makes sense. The first page where it talks about the country, it's in association with your iPostal address, which is the United States of America. Second page
Okay, so
is only actually for the country by itself where the document is going to be used. So that has to be Thailand by itself.
so the second one will be Thailand then, and then the first one would be, okay, all right.
Mhm. Yeah,
Actually
sometimes they
doing it
ask
right
you
now.
for the country where your address belongs to. Sometimes they don't. But in
Oh,
this
because I would be
case,
the customer here because it says customer information.
right.
Okay, so I'm kind of overthinking it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, so the first page, customer information, I put in the first, last, business email. Where it's asking my address, I put in the iPostal. I'm hitting continue. Select the country to which documents will be presented. This is where I put Thailand then, correct?
Mhm.
All right, number of documents, I'm gonna get 2. And document description. There's a couple options here: marriage certificates, birth certificates, school documents, divorce documents, death certificates, or
Which one are
other.
we doing?
I'm authenticating the BC on a state level.
All right. So you select birth certificate.
I'm gonna continue.
And that's it. That's all you do.
So I put pickup. Bear with me, I'm sorry, everybody in the chat.
All right, Shamina, I'll get to your question after this one. After the Yoda. We'll go over that on Sunbiz.
I just had a question
All
in
right, thank you,
regards to
Avery.
oh, sorry about that, Jesse. I mean, Jesus.
You're welcome, Jesus. All right. Go ahead, man.
All right, so on the overpayments, right, being that we're using the trust and we're using the foreign trust on those documents, when that overpayment come back, it's coming back in the in our natural name, but when we go to cash those checks, are we depositing that into the DBA of that name underneath the foreign trust?
Well, I would deposit it into your trust enterprise account. If you were the
Gotcha.
one to open that up as the trustee, you have the right to do it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. All right. Let me share my screen. Let's go to Sunbiz. Hey, Shamina, can you unmute your mic so we can go through this together?
Hi, yes, I'm sorry.
How you doing today? You okay?
I'll be all right. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Good.
Let's look at it. So we're going to do an example for you, but we're not going to use your in-depth private information. Keep things concealed. And we're talking about a DBA, right?
Yes.
Let's register a DBA. You want to do it online or you want to do it on paper?
I was gonna do it online, and I just wanted to be for sure that I was doing the right thing. So I have a tendency to rush
Okay.
and screw shit up. So excuse my language, but seriously.
Fictitious name registration, we have the choice of PDF and e-file.
Yeah.
Let's do e-file. All right, disclaimer, acknowledge, begin application. All right, let's say name, express trust, doing business as Kingdom Come, and let's say this is an unincorporated association. Okay, that means we don't have to put this at the end. We'll just leave it alone. Now, EIN number we were assigned, we'll leave that blank. You will provide an email address.
Okay.
And they will send your receipt to that email address. You don't have to check off certificate of status or certified copy, because in your state, when you open up a bank account, you can tell the banker to just go to SunBiz, pull up the name, and they find it. And to them, that's a certified copy. Okay.
Gotcha.
Mailing address of the business.
Okay, so that would be my address that I have at iPostal.
I postal address. And select the county that you're in, which was that Broward?
Miami-Dade.
Miami-Dade. Fill all this information in.
This is, I
Line
think, where I
two.
got confused. Yeah,
Line 2 is your suite number,
okay,
right? Name owner. Now, if you're going to use this business here to do your trust documentation or at the bank, you don't want to put your foreign trustee here, because then they're going to say, where is he at? Or where is she at? She needs to come here and open up the account.
oh,
Okay, so it's
gotcha.
going to be your
Okay.
last name, your first name, and your middle name. Now it's one of the two. It's this or the business. So we're not doing the business. So leave that blank. Now you come down, what is the address of this individual owner? Now you can say the foreign address of
Okay,
one that you
because,
use.
yeah, this is where I got confused. I'm like, okay, because up here it says owner of fictitious name. No, not that one, I'm sorry. Owner of fictitious name if an individual. I wasn't sure to put my name or what. And then down here at the bottom, what address? Because when I went to do it, I think I left something blank and I needed to put it there. And I was like, well, I'm not sure what to put.
Yeah, it's not going to let me move forward because I'm not putting in all the information here.
Yeah,
This is what you would do, okay? Notice in this section here, it doesn't say for mailing address. We already got that information up here.
okay,
Mailing address is your iPostal box. But you can put the foreign address here. Now,
okay, which I chose the Netherlands.
okay, you can put that there. And so you can put the postal code and the abbreviations for Netherlands, which should be NE, I think.
It's NL,
AL, Amsterdam.
NL.
NL, right, okay.
Yeah.
You can skip all these other boxes because you don't need it. Now, signature is important. This is where you provide your foreign signature, your trustee. So let's say my older one was Sylvain Melissa. I was signed without the US. Just like that. That's going to be on the record, on the application. You would hit continue, and then all you do is just make your payment of $50.
With the US. Okay, so then I would put Shamina Baylor Bay because I don't have Shamina Baylor Bay. Okay.
The other day.
With the US. Okay.
This is without. So I think it's like that. Yeah.
Without the US.
What that basically is 28 USC 1746 subsection 1. Right. So without saying all of that, we just say without the US. And we haven't had any issues with that being rejected.
Okay. All right. That's great. That's great.
Guys,
Yeah,
take this model and apply it to your DBA filings. Do it like this. This is how you got to get it in. You can have your foreign trustee sign it. You can mail it in if you don't have the option to do it online. All they care about is who is the registrant. And that's where you put your iPostal address, and the registrant is right here. You're just registering the information on behalf of who?
Gotcha.
Your foreign trustee.
I have one more question just for clarification purposes. Avery, I received a letter yesterday from the IRS, after applying for the 98 number. And so the letter that they send you, is that just like a basic letter that they send everybody once they got their 98 letter? Because it says, I know I still have to file 1041.
Right.
So I'm trying to understand, Does that mean I'm tax exempt? I'm not tax exempt? Like what is happening?
They're already tax exempt. I'm going to
Okay.
show you that they're just following the law, and you have to follow what they tell you to do when that happens, right?
I already sent the letter that you told us, so I sent it immediately after I got the 98 number on March 11th.
Good,
I'm sorry, April 11th, April 11th.
good. And they haven't responded to that yet.
No, I haven't gotten anything from that.
Yeah. So wait up to 6 months for you to get the letter that says you're on the zero file list. But you don't need it. You're already on it. Just know that. You don't
Okay.
need that letter. If
Okay.
they've given you a 98 number followed by a 6 or a 7. you're
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
You're perfectly fine. I mean, they're just telling you right here, you know, if you do receive something like that, the individual should respond to the letter immediately. And you've done that. Should respond to the letter immediately by stating it has no requirement to file a U.S. tax return. Failure to respond to the IRS letter may result in a procedural assessment of tax. So you did the right thing by avoiding that assessment of tax procedure by sending that letter. You're good to go.
Okay, all right. So the actual 1041 is like, is that something like a refund thing or?
1041, you seen what the 1040s look like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's for individuals. 1041s is the same thing. It's just for trust and estates.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But really good questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. Bye.
Have a good day. Hey, Amanda, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Avery. How are you?
I'm good today. Thank you.
Good. And I hope mom is well as well. I have a very quick question. I started working a project that I'm going to be on for the next 8 weeks. And they asked me to fill out a W-4. And I think you've shown us in the past how to fill them out if you don't want them garnishing any taxes out of your pay.
Mm-hmm.
So could you very quickly go over that so I can take quick notes and make sure I fill this out correctly? Like I said, it's just an 8-week project that I'm working on that I'm getting compensated for, and I really don't want them taking taxes out of it.
I don't want them taking taxes out of your check either.
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple of people ask me that question this week, how to fill that out. I think where people get stuck at is it's the state part. The state part has like a similar form to the IRS one, but they kind of get a little tricky with claiming exempt. So,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. That was my next question because I have a different form to fill out for Louisiana.
yeah. Okay. So you would check off right here, single or married filing separately, or you can select however you and your husband are going to do it for this taxable year. Put your general information here. I would put the I-postal address. Don't put where you live. In other words, don't put the address that's on the driver's license if it's not the I-postal address already. And then your social here, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, exempt. And you sign. That's it.
What if they already have I'm sorry to cut you off. What if they already have my home address?
You can always update.
Okay.
Throughout the year, you can send this every quarter to update. You know, some people have a new baby, a new infant throughout the year. So they'll update their dependents, their claims and withholdings. But in this case, since you're filing exempt, even though you have children, you want to file 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way down.
Got it.
And you're keeping all that money per paycheck.
Got it.
Let's see here. In the instructions, right here, it says to claim exemption from withholding. Certify that you meet both of the conditions above, writing exempt on Form W4 in space 4C. That's what you do. Now, let's see if we can find Louisiana. LDR, so they call it an L4E. See if we can figure this out. For use by employees who, check a box below, incurred a tax liability in the prior year, no. Meet the conditions set forth under blah, blah, blah Act, military spouse, no. So we'll put our full name here, social security number, postal address number. Now remember on your postal address, when you get a box, because it's asking for a home address, you want to, don't say suite, say APT, apartment. Okay, go ahead and sign off here. Let me revoke this exemption. So this is easy for you guys. Yours is really easy. It looks like if you just submit this form, you're automatically exempt from the state. I have to read the instructions on this to really know for Louisiana. I'm thinking it's going to be this first box that you have to check off. Incurred no tax liability in the prior year, and you anticipate no tax liability for the current year. It's going to make sense to me. I would say check this first box off to make your election, and then please read the instructions as to what they're talking about. So, if they're trying to take state taxes out of your check, that's what you would do. All right.
Okay, thanks, Avery.
You're welcome. Let's see. AJ, you are unmuted.
Is my sound coming through?
You sound good. I can hear you.
All right. Hopefully everybody else will not be hearing me too low in volume. All right. Now, forgive me.
Little loud.
Say that again.
If you could speak a little louder.
Okay. I was having a discussion with one of our other wonderful members, and we were discussing something, and maybe he'll type in the exact thing.
No, I'm so sorry. I can't hear anything.
Anything better right now?
There we go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You
I
got to
really
shout.
have to talk loud on this.
But
Okay.
I don't know why I think it's, are you using a separate mic or just a
Yes.
phone? Okay.
Yes, I'm on my
You
computer.
might want to change the input on just that mic.
Yeah, I have to figure out this thing. I'm not sure what to do here. Okay, I'm gonna see if this volume works now. I was having a discussion about the fact that we can file to be reimbursed for deductions on the 990. And another person that I was speaking with, he was mentioning that he's sending everything with money orders. And I had the understanding that the deductions that we could get reimbursed for or tax credits for is only going to be substantiated information. So that wouldn't be for everything under the sun that the IRS would give us tax credits for. Could you elaborate if my question makes sense?
I don't know anything about it. I can only speak to what I know. That's a CPA question, and somebody who's a CPA that knows exactly how to do the refunds with the trust using 990.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, we're going to get into that stuff much later, but the 1041s, 1120, and 1120 Gs. Yeah, 990 and 990T, we'll get into it. But as far as that specific question, I don't know anything about that process. Let's see here. We go back in the chat. Do you still keep using a social number even after you authenticate your birth certificate? When you authenticate the birth certificate, now the trust is able to utilize that social as its own vehicle in commerce, like an LLC or a corporation. So you do want to minimize generating income off of that number and utilizing the credit off of that number. But if you have to use it, for example, FHA to get a house, then use it, because you know the overall end goal is to quit claim it from your name to the trust and have the trust take care of it over the course of a year to 4 years, which is a win. So I know there's talks out there where people say you want to completely abandon it and you can't use it, it's not yours. Well, that's just part of the agreement. They just didn't let you know the agreement, but you can use it. The whole point of this is to take the securities away from them and let your trust have access to that and utilize it. That's a bilateral contract. But instead, they're contracting with infants and not letting you know what's going on. That's why I mentioned for you guys to get that American jurisprudence book that's talking about infants and inspections. And they tell you that they can generate mortgages off of an infant, a minor. That's what they're doing. All right.
Avery, Brian wants to know if there's going to be an accord and satisfaction example with an example statement of account and bill of complaint.
Oh, the bill of complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking that to court. Yeah, we can do that. But when you're ready to take it to court, that's when it makes sense to do it. But a bill of a complaint is very similar to what you do when you file an affidavit of complaint when you're getting ready to sue the lender. But how you stylize it, that's what your question. That's what you want to go. I can do that on a private call with you, or I can put together that webinar for you guys. But majority of you have to have certain components of the trust complete before you even go into that court setting. I know you have it. You got it done. So that'll be a private call between you and I. I don't like to put out information out there that no one can really use right now until they get to a certain point. All right, 10-4.
Okay, and Dre is asking, if my wife was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands, what remedies within the course do I use to remove her from the U.S. citizenship? I've already authenticated her birth certificate on state and federal and got her estate EIN.
You mean you authenticated? If she was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands, that means she would have a certificate of naturalization, not a birth certificate. And you can authenticate that, even though it's already authenticated from the Department of State. But to further complete her process with the trust, like I said, if she has property in the States, then she can immediately declare to be a national of that state that she has property in. That's how she can get away from the certificate of naturalization. Get real property as soon as you can, by any means necessary.
Hey, Avery.
Yes.
Peace, how's it going? First off, thanks for all the info that you're dropping on us. This is Dre. Now with my wife's birth certificate, she actually did have a birth certificate that I was able to get authenticated in the Virgin Islands and also with the Department of State. And then also she's been residing here in Florida for about 10 years. So I went to the courthouse here in Tallahassee and I did the declaration of domicile. Now I do have a separate plot of land that's in my name. Would it be wise to sign that over to her and go about utilizing it that way?
Well, you have a trust and she has a trust, so you can gift a certain percentage of parcel of land over to her trust, and that'll substantiate.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds good. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. U.S. Virgin Islands is giving out birth certificates. My goodness. I'll kind of scan through a little bit. If you have any others to read out to me, I'll just shoot them out.
Okay, so Yvonne has a couple questions she may need to ask herself. So I would give her a minute to ask because there seems to be a couple questions she has.
If she can, but I think she's not able to speak in her current setting.
Oh, I see.
Let's see. Let me try to read one.
Okay, she had one in the beginning part of the class
Okay.
pertaining to what we were talking about.
The beginning.
She was confused about the 1099 in general.
Oh yeah, I read that one and I answered that one too.
Okay.
So we're good there. And she says, you bit off more than you can chew with me, Brother Avery. I honestly have no idea about this Q&A other than 1099A form itself. So yeah, we'll probably go more into that with in a consultation if you like. But right now you are in the junior class. So when you get to the senior class, you'll receive more information that you need about that 1099A.
Okay,
Can you
then
hear me?
okay.
Am I working?
There you are.
Hi. Hello.
Hello there.
Hi. Okay, I have authenticated my birth certificates. I authenticated them for Taiwan. A lot of people were afraid of Taiwan because they thought China would take it over and I would then be into a Hague country. So I was also told that we're supposed to add as many countries to the authentication as we can. I don't know anything about that. I don't even know how to check something like that out. So is it possible to put more than one country that you are authenticating your birth certificate for? And would you need to send the birth certificate back in for that whole process again?
Well, if you plan on going to a new country, yes, but and purchasing property there. But in our case, we're not planning on leaving.
Okay. So it wouldn't matter if China took Taiwan with all the stuff that
they're grandfathered in.
Okay, good.
There's a
Thank
stamp
you.
on yours. Time date.
You always make me feel better. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I think that's all the questions we got.
Mario had one as well. When filing Unicorp Association's FBN, do we input ourselves as a registrant?
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you want to list, if your county allows you and has no problem with this, Imani Express Trust doing business as blankety blank, which is an unincorporated association. And down below, you put yourself as the registrant, but the person who signs, that's going to have to be you as a trustee if you claim it to be operating as a trust. But you can put your foreign trustee there too if you want, and have the trust signature down at the bottom. Okay. Someone has their hand up. It just says iPad. I unmuted you. Go ahead.
Sorry, me, Remy. I'm on my
Okay.
iPad today. How you guys doing? I just have a question. When I fill out the application, I don't recall picking somewhere. But I did some research and I do have business in Ghana, even though I'm from Guyana. And I was wondering if I could use them because they're not part of the Hague.
When you say application, you're talking about authentication?
Yeah, the application I filled out to send back to your email. Like it didn't specify like where exactly I wanted to choose with the authentication process, because I do recall you told me that the neutralization form is already authenticated.
Right, right. If you have the certificate of naturalization, it's already authenticated, right?
Right.
We
So
wouldn't have to do it, but if you have like children, then we'll do it for them.
okay, so that will work then, because for the kids, then I will have to pick something.
Yeah.
And
just
I
let me
have
know which
plans
company you want.
I have plans on getting real estate in Ghana because I already have a small business there, you know.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if I can just choose them, because I know Guyana was in talks of being part of the Hague. So I wasn't too
I want to
sure.
use Colombia. Colombia is a Hague Convention already.
Yeah. So I wasn't too sure if I could get anything done with them.
Now, here's the thing about Colombia. Yes, you can get real estate there, but they do not recognize trust at all.
Yeah, they don't, because I have 2 properties in Guyana, and I just recently acquired land. But they have no clue what I'm talking about. When I send my sister, because I was trying to assign her as trustee, she was lost and they were lost too. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's the other way around. It's business first and then the trust.
yeah, so they have no idea what's going on that end. But that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your input. Let's see. Says I authenticated in Taiwan. We talked about that. Name of the book was American Jurisprudence. Let's see if we can find it. Because the one that I was looking for, or that I purchased, I know it was out of stock for a while. They might have replaced it. Too deep. I have, what volume do I have? I think mine is volume 42. If you can get one on injunctions and banking insolvency, you're good to go. Like really, really good to go. Sureties and treaties, that's great as well. You guys better get some before I start taking them again. So it looks like they're putting more orders in.
And them things don't never come up. I got them things on my watch list. They don't never come up.
Yeah, so.
I lost 2 on eBay.
This might be a good
Probably was you. Probably was you.
No, I probably wasn't me. Probably some of the other mentors. Like as soon as they get them, they take them as fast as possible, because the case laws that are in there, that's what's going to empower your bill of chancery. I'm sorry, your bill of complaints when you go to court for discharge. There is no hearsay or he said, she said, because the case law already backs them up.
Go give me a library card. I'm gonna go get me a library card and accidentally lose it.
What we got? Freedom, post office, funds and injury, funds and perjury. That might be good. Weapons, if you want to put your firearms in the will under the injunction, I'm gonna get that, volume 79. And yeah, just scan and get the books and start reading. This is where I got most of the language to make the injunctions, and they work. No hands down. Hey, Emily, see your hand up.
Hello, yes, just back to the birth certificate, I guess again. I'm like studying kind of a lot again, and I just noticed on the claim of ownership that you kind of had like 3 versions. There was one in the book, then one in the video, and then the one you attached in the Patreon. Are they all valid, or one just has more updated info, or?
They're all valid. They're all valid.
Okay.
The one that I put in the book was the one that I first did for myself in Lamar County. And if you recall, that's where I was saying that clerk of court was just an officer of the Republic. And he was accepting any and everything that I wanted to put on the record. And over time, after his retirement, they started to reduce that privilege. So you may find that I've made revisions to make it more acceptable for you guys to utilize. I would say the one that's in Patreon is the best one to use. Just keep it nice and simple, saying that you are the name in that registrar memorial and you are conveying that over to the trust.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Avery, Tina has a question. She said she can't ask it, so she wrote it in the chat.
Okay.
She said, from obtaining the 98 number, is there a time frame by when we should get all of the rest of the steps completed and recorded? That's our first question.
Time frame after getting the 98 number. According to the steps that I gave you guys, you can all do these things simultaneously and just, as things come in and you just check it off your list, but there is an order to it. You know that most importantly that you want to record your non-UCC in the county, but you can't do that until the authentication or certificate of naturalization number is acquired to put on the non-UCC cover. So if you're someone who's waiting for that to come back, then there's other steps that you can complete while you're waiting, such as getting your estate EINs, reclassifying them, reclassifying any business EINs. There's a couple of things you can do. You just have to look at the time frame of, where you live, find out how soon you think it's gonna come back to you. But, yeah.
Okay, and she wants to also know if she can put her parcel number in her declaration of trust before actually closing.
No, you cannot. You definitely will have to show that you are a person on the deed. And then from there, you can quit claim it over to the trust by listing the parcel number on that document. Unless you're stating that you're just going to survey the land for a potential purchase. But you must make that statement in your trustee minutes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're actually going to close on it. So, you might as well just do it after you close.
Okay, and Mario wants to know, how do you go about buying a firearm, being a felon in the system, using an authenticated birth certificate?
You wouldn't use a birth certificate to do that. You wouldn't buy the firearm. You have to use a public trustee just to buy your firearm for you, just like you would use them to go register your car in the trust. So let's say I'm your public trustee. I got a clean record. I buy the gun that you want, no matter the stipulations of that gun in your state. And then I would go ahead and receive the gun, go ahead and file a specific form with the Department of Justice stating that, and of course, I must find the code in the California law that says that you are selling that property or I am holding that property on behalf of the beneficiaries. There's a specific form for that. I will send that in, they approve it. Now I take the serial number and I place that serial number of the firearm in your injunction. So if you've already filed an injunction, you're going to file another one. And believe me, you want to file another one if you're going to take possession of this firearm as a beneficiary. You file another one listing the details of that firearm as the beneficiary of it, and you send that into the sheriff. Now you can hold on to that weapon. and you are on do not stop, do not detain list, and he is supposed to protect you from that being detained or whatever via the injunction. On paper, the trustee is the owner of that weapon. You're just a beneficiary under contract. So you have the right to use it. Okay, that's how you do that. Just
And-
look up, just look up the Attorney General's of the Department of Justice on their website. There's forms to have your trustee fill out. And it's $15 to file it in California.
Avery, at that point, is the trustee responsible if anything happens with that firearm?
Nope. He is just a filer of information, and he is held harmless in the indemnity agreement. So, of course, the indemnity agreement is sent to the Department of Justice before they can actually approve that he's a valid trustee for that weapon.
So anything happens with the firearm after that point, the beneficiary would be the person basically responsible for the gun.
They would first look to the trustee because that's the name that pops up. However, both trustee and the beneficiary is on the injunction. Now, if they didn't harm anybody, they're going to walk away free, no problem. But if they shot somebody or damaged property, that's a whole nother story. Equity will come into play, and they're going to have to take responsibility for their action.
So both parties would be responsible at some level.
At some level, yeah.
Okay. Yvonne is asking on the SS4, is the responsible party if it's not your birth certificate name?
Who is the responsible party if it's not your birth certificate name? I think you're talking about the SS4.
Right.
The responsible party is the same person listed in box 3, who is the foreign trustee. That's going to be your real foreign trustee. If you don't have one, it's going to be your first name, and your last name will be the title of nobility name. You put that in box 3 and also in box 7, the responsible party. Never, ever, ever give your birth name, because you may get past the test and get a 98 number, but they will go back and reprocess the application and look at it and do a search. And I've seen people get 98 numbers and it gets revoked or shut down because they've given an actual Social Security Administration name as the trustee.
Okay, I did give my birth certificate name for the trustee. I think everybody that was in that particular class did, or under the instruction of did. So what do I do to rectify that?
You will have to send a letter. You have to send a letter saying that that information has been updated, and you have to utilize a real foreign trustee, or like I said, your title nobility name. And the best way to do it, I'll share my screen again. (8822B) is the form with your letter. Okay, this is where we're talking about a change of address and the responsible party. So if you're a tax exempt organization, click here, you are. Right, we're talking about changing the address. So you're gonna need to change the address that's currently on file with them. Business name is your trust name. EIN number is your existing 98 number. Give them the old mailing address. Give them the foreign country that you initiated in the very beginning. Now give them the new mailing address. Down here where it says new business location, this is most likely going to be the same foreign address you gave them on the application. New responsible party name, this is where you would put Yvonne Day or whatever Duchess, Baroness, whatever title and nobility that you want to use. Now, when it says new responsible parties, social number, not applicable. You sign it and you send it off to the address here according to what state you're in. And you're done. Now, most people don't do this step because they don't know that this form exists, and they don't know that they have to have an actual name there that doesn't have a social security number. But you must do that.
I so thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, if that's the last of the questions, we're going to close it short. See if I can still catch the bank. Try to ask them a few questions in regards to a trust account. Let's give it one more question if anybody has one.
Let's see. Which one?
Hey, Avery, oh, I'm sorry.
We said 2 questions per person, but nobody else is asking, so you'll be the last one. Go ahead, man.
When you speaking on the firearms just now, when you update your passport and all of that and send your nobility name, and at that point you become a California national, I thought you could buy a firearm under that status, that whatever you had prior to that didn't matter no more.
Exactly. You want to make sure when we get that new passport with the new name change, and we already know that we didn't give a social on that application. Yeah, there is going to be no record of anything from the past, so you can use that.
Okay,
that's the best way to do it. They're going to ask for 2 forms of IDs anyway, so it'll be that new passport, and then you can just bring in the birth certificate. I'm sorry, not the birth certificate. The one of the other forms of ID, like insurance record, library card, something like that.
Yeah, it's a little small list of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time coming in today. Any questions you may have throughout the week, you can send them in the Telegram or the comment sections on Patreon. And of course, a consultation link if you need further in-depth information. All right. Appreciate you guys today. You guys take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, man. You too.
All right.
Thank you. You too. You too.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
You too. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Avery.
Thanks, Timothy. We'll be in talk.
All right.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Well,
We got a name. Person named Avery.